guys, I gotta tell you about Mud Water. This stuff has been a life changer. My old cup of coffee, forget about it. Mud Water gives me sustained energy with no crash and no jitters. It's just smooth, focused power as fall hits. And the holidays are getting crazy. Staying focused is key. That's where Mud Water shines. It's a coffee alternative. It's made with chai, cacao, and adaptogens, like lion's mane, reishi, and chaga. You get the boost without the 3 p.m. crash or the sleepless nights. Plus, it's 100% organic. It's vegan. It's got no sugar. Using Mud Water is easy. Take a scoop of the powder, stir it into some water, you are good to go. Want to make it more fun? Sometimes I throw some creamer in. My father-in-law uses honey. And if you don't want caffeine, they have got you covered with caffeine-free blends too. Now let me tell you the deal. I want you to head to mudwater.com/Chael. I want you to start with a starter kit. Right now, I can get you 25% off your entire order. That's mudwtr.com/Chael. And when you get there, tell them I sent you. Stay sharp and stay focused this fall with Mud Water. Guys, real simple. Click on the link below. Once upon a time, I am living in Eugene, Oregon. I'm minding my own business. Now, I am secretly mastering the sport of the no holds barred. I am mastering doing UFC. I am mastering the NHB, all these different terms. Mixed martial arts was not even the official term. The term mixed martial arts, as a matter of fact, officially, it was thrown out there the same as cage fighting and no holds barred in 2001. Okay? UFC debuted, Mobile, Alabama, Royce Gracie champion, 1993, just to put that in perspective for you. So, at the time of this story, which is 1999, I am a wrestler at the University of Oregon, and after wrestling practice, I'm going across town, and I'm training with Marcus Lewis at Hard Knocks gym. And the great late Chad Nelson amongst many others. But I got to tell you, so now I got kickboxing and I was wrestling. And Marcus told me, he said, hey, if you stick with this, I teach you these elbows, I can teach you these knees. If you stick with this, you'll be the only guy. And I wanted to be like Don Fry. I said, hey, why be as good as Don Fry? And he said, oh, yeah. And he said, Don wears shoes. Don doesn't even throw kicks. I teach you kicks. You know, Don's a boxer and a wrestler. I'm just sharing for you this time frame, okay? Now, I was also a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and that part wasn't a secret. I would tell people I was a black belt in jiu-jitsu. In fact, the fact that I was a black belt in jiu-jitsu got to 2 purple belts under Megaton, who happens to be Mackenzie Dern's father. Okay. Ryan Kelly and Harold Utterback. They are purple belts. In this town that we live in, I am a black belt, of which I told them. And they invited me to come roll with them. So I did. I can't even tell you. I can't even tell you how much, learning how to tap that's not a natural thing. Like, you think that looks normal, you say, that's all right. It's not, that's a normal thing. You have to practice and lose positions to where you're in a spot to tap, just to learn how to tap, okay? Now, I was told by Mark Schultz that you in jiu-jitsu are whatever belt you're willing to defend, you're willing to compete at, that if you go to a jiu-jitsu tournament, you would sign up and you will write your belt down. And if you say, I'm a black belt, and you're willing to go out there with black belts, and you can have success, you are a black belt. Now, Mark has actually heard me tell that story and said, hey, Chael, I don't remember telling you that. And there's a chance that he didn't. There's a chance that he told me something close to that. I think it was that, but there's a chance that I misunderstood. So I'm a fake black belt. I'm a fake black belt. I'm working on Muay Thai with Marcus. I'm wrestling at the U of O. Get this whole thing figured out. Be the UFC champion. Go in there, kick Mark Kerr in the leg, and I'm going to take Dan Severn down. I get this whole thing figured out. And I get a call, and I get a call. Oh, guys, my producer's in the back here. He hasn't had anything to eat all day. His nephew, Tyler, just brought him bacon right now. So he's literally showing it. I can see he's trying to distract. He's literally, and it's like the greatest looking thing. He's holding it this way, and I can see the grease running down it. And it, oh, God, it just looks so good. And Tyler's got this new haircut, by the way. I suggest you girls, give him a try. This Tyler guy, he can cook. He's got bacon. All right. All right. Now, I get a phone call, okay? And they're going to do a show at the Roseland Theater. And it was like 2 days notice, something along these lines. And that wasn't a thing back then because there wasn't a training camp anyway. There wasn't even an MMA gym. We had not even decided as a community that we were going to call it MMA. 2 days notice was the same as an hour's notice was the same as 5 months notice. There was no difference. Come up to Portland. We'll fight this guy named Trevor Prangley. And Trevor was a known tough guy. In fact, you've probably heard of the late great, latest and greatest Robert Follis. And Trevor and Robert had fought. And they fought for 30 minutes. I think it was a draw. If I have that wrong, they fought for 30 minutes and Trevor won. In fact, that is what happened. They fought for 30 minutes and the judges stepped in and Trevor won the fight. So, but there's not a lot of fights going on. And this was a big deal. The fact that he had done it before, the fact that he had a 30-minute match, the fact that he beat Robert Follis, like these were very big deal. Robert Follis was a very prized under Matt Thornton. And Matt Thornton didn't lose fights, just the way that it was. So I'm just sharing with you that I come up and I fight with Trevor Prangley. And he puts me in something called a triangle choke. Now, that's fine. The problem with this that nobody knew, my mom and dad who came to watch, there was like 80 people this day, by the way. This is the biggest crowd I've ever competed in front of. I remember calling and telling Randy Couture about this. I was bragging to him about all the people there. Oh, man, there must have been 100 people there, Randy. Like, I'd never been in an atmosphere like this. But the problem was not the techniques. The problem was when I tell you that I had this whole thing figured out, that I was going to be the more well-rounded guy than Don Fry. I was going to kick Mark Kerr in the leg. I was going to take Dan Severn down. Because I had all these different things, right? I got the Muay Thai, and I got the black belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm wrestling at the college. I believed them. I truly believed them. I remember a girl I took to the prom. And I told her I was going to be the UFC champion. But I assured her that I would be. And back then there wasn't rounds. There wasn't even weigh-ins for that matter. But I told her the only way you can lose is to tap out. And I will never tap out. And I believed this. And I would watch guys like Don Fry. Don Fry was one of my favorites to watch. Don would walk to you when the referee said you're ready. He would do this with his arms. He'd walk to you and he'd roll his arms down like this as he put them up to box. I fought 51 men. I rolled my arms and put them up like that every single time. I was this huge fan of Marco Huaz. Marco Huaz, when they panned to him in the corner, he'd put his hands on his hips and he'd sway side to side like this. And when they would say, the king of the streets, Marco Huaz, he'd take one step forward, he'd throw both hands up. I fought 51 men. I did that all 51 times. So, Don Fry, when he'd go out there to fight, he'd come out, he'd be moving his feet, boom, boom, and he'd always start with a jab. And I had envisioned this, but you must understand, I had never punched a person. I had never even punched a speed bag. I had a heavy bag in the garage, and on Mondays and Wednesdays, Marcus and I would work on time mitts. I didn't know to hit somebody was so hard to do. I didn't know as that guy's moving and you're moving and people are watching. So I go out there, I'm doing that fire, just like I envisioned it. And nothing hits this guy. Nothing's touching this Trevor Prangley. I can't touch him, but I'm doing everything just like Don Fry. I lose this fight. Told this girl I'd never tap out. And the depression. Nobody knew about this. I didn't say I held my head high and I walked out like a man. And it hurt so bad. I didn't want to get out of bed the next morning. Great sign of depression. I was so defeated. I didn't know what I was going to do. And you couldn't get fights back then. I've been wanting to do this my whole life. I got this one call. It was on 2 days' notice. That took me 20 years. Why I got to wait another 20 years? It was just a different thing. Wondering, am I going to have to go the rest of the way and never get to try to fix that? Never learn how to throw a jab and actually have it touch something. It was one of these things. And that was my secret. That was my secret. I carried that with me. There was a gentleman who fought in the UFC. As a matter of fact, he had one fight. It was against Mark Kerr. And he had created his own martial art, just like Bruce Lee had done with Jeet Kune Do. This gentleman had created his own martial art. And he came out and he was the founder. Mark Kerr grabs him by the neck. He throws one knee and knocks him out. And I think it was 6 seconds. But that gentleman fell so into depression that he ended his school. He quit teaching people. He got into drugs and alcohol. It wasn't until he came back from all of this and then he told his story. Hey, here's what happened to me. But I got it. I read his story and I could relate. Yes, I know that same depression. And it's just the idea of when you believe something is real, you can generally go your whole life. That will never get tested. It's a very rare thing that it does. And this is all stemming from George Masvidal calling out Leon Edwards. But within the call out, George said, I'm either the person I think I am or I'm not. And George is willing to put the whole thing, everything he's trained for, everybody thinks he is. And by the way, if it doesn't go his way, there's not another time. He's formed good relationships to get this time. There's not 2 shots for George Masvidal. There's 1 shot for George Masvidal. And he's willing to put everything on it against a former world champion. If that isn't amongst the best fight promotion I have ever witnessed, I don't know what I could tell you that tops it.